The US government is shut down, and you probably want to know why. So I'm going to give you all the facts, what each political side is saying about this government shutdown, and let you make up your own mind about whatever you think should happen next. Here's some brief history about US government shutdowns, how they work, why they happen. So the US government, its budget is determined through Congress. So Congress votes on the US government's total budget every single year. And every year, in order to get this budget certified and actually to get it working, they have to pass 12 different appropriation bills through Congress. And you have to have 60 out of 100 votes in the Senate to pass these 12 appropriation bills. If these appropriation bills are not passed, you have to pass what's called a continuing resolution. A continuing resolution is sort of like an interim budget. It's saying, well, until we get the actual budget verified of where we want all the money to go, to what department should have what money, let's just have a continuing resolution that would allow us to continue spending the same way we've been spending before these appropriation bills. So it's basically saying, hey, we don't want to change anything in our budget. We just want to continue with what we've been doing. So right now, they haven't been able to pass the appropriation bills, and they haven't been able to pass the continuing resolution bills either. So right now, that's where they're stuck. When this happens, it's what we call a government shutdown, meaning the government doesn't actually have a budget that's passed. Now, here's the interesting part. Has this always happened? No. Before 1980, we've had times where the government should have been shut down. There wasn't an appropriations bill passed. There wasn't a continuing resolution passed. But they said, hey, we're going to continue letting the government run even while we get this whole budget thing figured out. But in 1980, the Attorney General at that time came out and said, hey, actually, I think the law says that if the appropriation bill isn't passed, if there's no continuing resolution, then the government departments have no actual authority to spend money until Congress allows them through some sort of a budget. This Attorney General set a new precedent for all future ones. So from 1980, they started having government shutdowns when they couldn't get these bills passed. During the 1980s, the government shutdowns were real quick. They were 1 to a few days, but bam, they got a new budget passed. Let's go. Now the government shutdowns are a lot longer. In 2018, we had one for 35 days. That was when Trump was trying to pass his border wall bill between Mexico and the US, and they couldn't get it through. Now this is a different kind of crisis. So right now they're discussing about healthcare. So why is this current government shutdown, which is the 11th shutdown in US history, why is this happening right now? First, I'll tell you what the liberals are thinking, and then I'll tell you what the conservatives think of why it's happening and what to do to fix it. The liberal perspective is they are saying that 24 million Americans, their healthcare premiums will increase by the end of 2025. The reason is because you have Obamacare that helps fund a lot of the healthcare, and there are tax breaks that are set to expire by the end of this year. The Democrats really wanted to re-up these tax breaks in the recent Big Beautiful Bill. It didn't go through. Republicans held control. So these tax breaks are already not going through. And so they're saying we want this to be added in these appropriation bills in order to fund the government. If you do that, then we'll vote on the bill. From the conservative perspective, they're saying, yes, we are willing to talk about re-upping these tax breaks, but not right now. We're willing to do that later on in the year. Right now, we want to pass a continuing resolution that will fund the government as it's currently being funded until November 12th. After November 12th or somewhere around then, we'll talk about re-upping these tax breaks. They are saying, hey, we've already voted on the massive budget with the Big Beautiful Bill. We just want to continue with things how they've been going. The conservatives are also saying that Democrats are trying to sneak in funding in these appropriation bills that would allow illegal immigrants to get access to American healthcare. Now, there's been a lot of debate about this. The left is saying, hey, we're not doing that at all. In fact, they don't get access with anything, with any healthcare through these appropriation bills. The right is saying, yes, you're trying to sneak it in. So I've done as much research as I can to try to unpack this, and I'll try to share you what I've learned about it. So technically, illegal immigrants can't actually get access to healthcare necessarily. What they can get access to is illegal immigrants can get access to emergency services. And in this appropriation bills, they want to re-up the renewal for the government to subsidize emergency services for hospitals. Okay, so the government before has said, hey, if there's an emergency service and someone isn't able to pay something, go ahead, take care of them hospital, and then the government will reimburse you later. Well, recently that has expired and they didn't vote to renew that. So the Democrats are saying, hey, we want to renew that. Inside of that provision, inside of that agreement, hospitals also take care of illegal immigrants when they come in for emergency services. So technically, if the government subsidizes hospitals to pay for illegal immigrants and their health care, technically the government's also paying for it. So the conservatives are saying, hey, you're trying to find out how the American people can pay for the health care of illegal immigrants. And we know that's a big category for the president and his administration is dealing with illegal immigration. We are seeing something interesting right now with layoffs. So President Trump has decided to do massive layoffs, 4,100 positions so far, layoffs of its employees. Typically, we do see furloughs. Now, a furlough is saying, hey, you're going to leave work, you're not going to work, but after the continuing resolution or after appropriation bill is signed, we'll bring you back in, you'll have your job back, and you usually get some sort of back pay. And there's even positions where we want you to continue working, like the Capitol Police, like the military, and saying, hey, we want you to work, but you're not going to get paid for it yet. We'll pay you later. Right now, we're seeing layoffs. These are actual firings happening. So Trump and his team are actually using this time period, and they're saying, hey, we don't have the money to pay you, so we're going to do layoffs. And the left is not happy about it at all. And a lot of government workers aren't happy about it, and unions not happy about it. They're saying, hey, this is unfair. They're taking this time in a government shutdown when it's supposed to be just an argument between the legislature about the budget. They're taking as a time to push their agenda forward to decrease federal worker rate in the United States. It's interesting because we've never seen a president use a government shutdown to push for decreasing federal workers. So we'll see what happens next. I know that recently a judge has sent a temporary restraining order telling Trump he's not allowed to do that after a union pushed back on him. This may travel up to the Supreme Court to decide, hey, can the president even do layoffs in the middle of a government shutdown? Real quick, I want to share my opinion on government shutdowns. It seems like the left or the right is able to take the government budget and the government spending power as a hostage mechanism to get certain things passed. And usually the collateral damage in the situation isn't the left or the right or their policies. It's usually workers, people with families, and they're having to be sent home. They're not able to get paid. Right now, Capitol Police aren't able to get paid. And it's not even about the right or the left. It's just both of them have done it in times past using this mechanism. I think the mechanism needs to be changed. I think we need to find a way for people to actually get paid. And really, I think what should probably happen is if you're not going to get paid, if you're not going to pay the police officer, the military, the traffic control, they're having a decrease in traffic control. They're having to cancel flights because they don't have enough people coming in for work because they can't get paid. If you're going to do that, then I don't think the senators should get paid. I don't think the president should get paid. I don't think anybody in the government should get paid. If there are positions that aren't getting paid, no one should get paid. And I think that would fix it pretty quickly. So what do you guys think? What do you think should happen? And what do you think about this specific one? Do you think it's the left's fault, the right's fault? What do you think is going to happen? And do you think it's going to break some record of how long this shutdown will go? I don't know your opinion. Put it in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with a friend. I'll see you next time.